There's a group of people that have sworn that Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 has got to be a financial failure, right? It's got to be. It's got to be. It has things I don't like in it. Therefore, it's bad. And they're pointing to this. I've seen this article screenshotted and shared on platforms like X as evidence of KCD2 being such a disaster. It's causing the stock to plummet. The stock of their parent company, Embracer Group, it's plunged 44%. That's worse than EA's stock plunged after Veilguard and FC25 didn't do that great. That's a disaster. How is nobody talking about this? It's because if you can read, that's not actually what's going on here. And I'm going to show you what I mean. Because often charts and these things can be deceptive, which is why you have to dig a little deeper. Because you do look at this and it's like, wow, down 35.82%. That sounds horrifying. Oh my God, right around the time that KCD2 is launching too. And this is like their one big game that's happening right now. So it's got to be connected. Well, it's not. It's not actually. In fact, this story actually is indicative of the opposite. It actually is sort of a good sign for the financial performance of the game, which I'll show you. Quick thing to understand. Embracer Group is a massive conglomerate. So they're the Swedish company that owns Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, Ghost Ship Games, Flying Wild Hog, Warhorse. They own a bunch of other stuff. They're the company that was going to get that, like, I think it was $2 billion investment from the Saudi Arabian investment fund, but that fell through. So they had acquired all these extra studios and then they closed them all because they basically spent the money before they had it, greenlit a bunch of stuff before they actually had the money. It was literally Michael Scott in The Office when he gets the bonus check and goes to Burlington Coat Factory, buys the coat, puts it on his credit card, but he didn't have the money yet. So he's just in trouble. It's literally that, but on the scale of $2 billion. But as you can see, the chart looks scary. And the reason I need you to understand the structure is because Embracer owns a lot of stuff, and it's not just gaming studios. They also own publishers. PlayOn is a publisher that they own that published KCD2. And if you look at this chart, initially you're like, oh God, what happened? This is a disaster. A disaster. Well, it's not. And this is actually something that you can find out if you look at the trading in the Class B shares of Asmodee on NASDAQ Stockholm is expected to commence on 7 February 25. This disclosure from their investment relations portal. But basically what happened is that there is a company called Asmodee, which is an entertainment leader specializing in tabletop games, committed to bringing people together through great games and amazing stories. Thanks to its global and passionate workforce of 2,200 people, players around the world enjoy one of the largest tabletop IP categories with Catan, Ticket to Ride, Dobble Spot It, Exploding Kittens, and hundreds more. So they're the company that makes all of those tabletop games. Catan, that's kind of cool. I didn't actually know that this was the specific company behind Catan and Ticket to Ride. Both fun games. Basically what's happened is that there's been a split between how the companies are traded. So it used to be that Embracer included Asmodee in their stock, and now it's not. That's it. Okay. It's like, to put it really, really simple, it's like if I said, okay, the Todd Howard candle and my Gamers Nexus, whatever this is, coaster. These two things are going to be traded under one stock, and I value that at $10. Candle's worth $5. This is worth $5. That's how they've been trading for years. Asmodee and Embracer is the candle. What just happened is they decided to separate them. And so this is still worth what it was. This is worth what it was. But now this is only trading for $5 because it doesn't include this when it did before, because they cut it out and it's being treated as its own thing. That's all that's happened. Okay. Literally a nothing burger, a nothing story. I mean, it's just a reworking of it. It would be like looking at a stock split, you know, like what happens a lot is that a stock will balloon up to a really high price point, maybe like $1,000 a share or something. And when that happens, what you see is volume of trades go down because not many people can afford to buy individual stocks, and not all brokerages allow for fractional shares. So what happens is a stock split where they will take the $1,000 stock and they'll break it into 5 shares. So if you owned 1 share at 1,000, they break it into 5 shares. You have 5 shares worth 200 apiece. You still, like, it's still worth the same amount, but it's just been broken up. And what you're seeing people do with these articles is basically misunderstanding what's going on and trying to conclude that because now one share is worth 200 instead of 1,000, therefore it's plummeted in value. Or because the company split how it was being traded, therefore like the company is not worth anywhere near as much, or something's changed. Or specifically in this case, they're trying to claim that KCD2's financial performance has been so bad that it caused this drop, which is just flatly false. And as you can see, Daniel Vavra, the game director actually on KCD2, said the reason Embracer share price dropped was that the company split in two and shareholders got Asmodee shares in addition to Embracer shares. In fact, the total value of the shares is up nearly 14% since the release of KCD2. Pretty straightforward. Okay, so this is why I always encourage it. It's like the old Mark Twain saying, there's lies, damn lies, and statistics. And in this case, if you look at just this chart, you would think, if you didn't dig into it at all, that something horrible had happened. That, oh, this is right around the time when Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was launching, February 4th. Oh God, when it's not actually even close to reality. Okay, in fact, the stock price has actually performed even better since the game's release because investors are pleased with it. So I just encourage you, if you see somebody on X or whatever talking about finance stuff and it seems to paint a very stark picture and you don't really hear many other people talking about it, look at it with a skeptical eye, bring it up in chat on stream. I can take a look at it and we can talk about it. But I mean, I do find this type of thing really funny because this is like ultimate bait for someone that doesn't actually want to read and understand, and they're just looking for confirmation of what they've decided is true, which is always very, very funny. Okay, so if you see any like rage baiters or people freaking out over this, trying to say that this is proof that KCD2 is a flop, you can link them this stream clip and maybe they will learn something. There you go.